Hello. So I put this shirt on today and it reminded me of a time that I used it as part of a gameful challenge. So I said, you know what? Hey, I don't think I've shared some of this. So let's pop on and give you a couple of tips that might help you out in terms of creating more engaging and gameful activities. So the whole premise behind all of this is always looking for those ways to level up the experiences. So you could have activities and things you've been using for a long time and they may work extremely well, but I would encourage you to revisit them periodically and kind of go, what else could I do with this? Because after a while, people get sort of used to, different activities and different things that you do, like at the beginning of a webinar, let's say. Not uncommon to hear the facilitator say, hey, how about you go into chat and tell us where you're joining from, right? We've all used it probably at one time or another. And there's nothing wrong with that because it serves a couple of purposes. First of all, it gets them actively engaged. And we have talked about before that the sooner you can get somebody to take a small action, the more likely it is that they're going to take the next actions that you ask them to do, and they will remain engaged. So there's that. There's also just we want to make sure that they know how to use the technology part, right? We kind of do sneaky things to get them to use the tools. And that is a perfectly good thing. You want them to do that. You want to give them a reason to go into the chat, make sure they know where the buttons are, make sure they know how to do it, make sure they feel comfortable with it so that the technology kind of drifts into the background and you can get their full attention on whatever it is that you are trying to teach them that day. So those are great. But how about this? If we wanted to take this idea of leveling up, what could we do instead? Well, instead of just asking somebody where they're from, which is really kind of a closed question because they answer you, that's it. They just kind of say, oh, New Jersey. Like, I'm in New Jersey. Okay. Which is fine. That may spark some conversation. It may start to get some different comments going in the chat, but quite often each person is just basically answering you as the facilitator and not really communicating with the other people that are participating in the session. So if you just switch it just a little bit, so instead of saying, where are you joining from today? You can turn it into a more gameful experience by asking people to put a hint or a clue as to where they are joining from and see if the other participants can guess where they are joining from. Now we have created a reason for people to communicate with one another. So instead of my first comment, I could have put in the chat, I could say, people are often surprised how many gardens they find in this state. Some people who are in the workshop may recognize that New Jersey is referred to as the Garden State. So that would be a clue to where I am joining from. Now, it doesn't even matter if people figure out all of them or not. The point is, I've taken that same concept of getting people to go into chat, getting them to start trying out the features, get themselves sort of settled in that, yes, this is going to be a session where we're going to be participating. But instead of just giving them a, give me this answer, fill in the blank, we've now given them a reason to kind of play and talk to one another. And then people start guessing and they, oh, wow, or I've always wanted to be there. Or, oh, I'm from there. Or I know somebody, and you never know where that can go. So it becomes a much more active experience. So that's the first thing. But back to the t-shirt, because I put the t-shirt on today. So the t-shirt, you might notice, I'll move my little colored here. It has 4 cats on it. It says un, deux, trois, cat. We'll play on the words there. And this shirt was the first shirt I wore in a video where I was doing promotions for an upcoming conference I was speaking at. So instead of just doing a quick video and saying, hey, I am going to be in fill in the blank of the city or the name of the conference, I created a video where I wore 3 different shirts. And each of the shirts was a clue as to where I would be speaking. So this was the first shirt I wore. I have to go see if I can find the video because I looked for it this morning, but I don't know. It's somewhere. Um, this was the first one. So this one was a little bit obscure, and that's sort of the idea behind this. As opposed to learning where I would want to scaffold people up from, the easiest to the hardest. In this case, I kind of did it in reverse. I put the hardest clue first and, see if anybody could figure it out. And then the second clue gave you a little more information. And then the third clue made it pretty obvious where I was going to be. So in this case, the four cats, it's in French. So you take French and there's 4 quarters in a dollar and you get French quarter. It was really obscure, okay? Probably not the best puzzle, but I was working with the t-shirts I had. Anyway, so you work with what you got, right? We've talked about that before. You MacGyver it sometimes. So anyway, so this t-shirt was supposed to represent, if you kind of got clever with it, it was to represent French quarter since we had French and 4 of something. So that was the first clue. Then I went and I changed t-shirts. And in the second t-shirt, I was wearing a t-shirt from the World War II museum. So you could very clearly see that it said Andrew Higgins World War II Museum, and it had a picture of one of the boats, and it said in littler print, but it was there. It said New Orleans. So the second shirt really made it pretty obvious if you kind of paid attention to the details. And again, some people would know where the museum was. Some people would Google where the museum was. And so some people figured it out at that point. But just in case, there was a third shirt. And then the third shirt I had on, as I'm describing, and of course, this video was not just me standing in t-shirts. I was talking about some of the things that I would be talking about at the conference, and it was a gamification conference. So it all worked to get it all played together. So the third t-shirt actually was just sort of a Mardi Gras. It was like really obvious. It's like, okay, it's New Orleans. You're going to be in New Orleans. So made it really obvious by the end where I was going to be. But again, just taking something that many of us have done, doing a video to describe, an upcoming event or where we're going to be, or, promoting something. Doesn't have to be about a conference or learning, but we're promoting, if you're promoting something, and turned it into a little bit of a gameful experience. And again, it gives you an opportunity to start a conversation, people guessing, people asking questions, they want another clue, they want a hint, they whatever. So, there's ways to do it. Mine was all in one video. I could have done them as a series. I could have dripped them out as a series of videos, and that would have, again, played more into the building of suspense and anticipation and the guessing and the whatever. And the whole point of it was that I had told people, anybody who came to the session with the answer, or mentioned, I forgot how I worded it, but it was like, if you solve this, I might have asked them to contact me ahead of time. I don't recall, but the whole point was it was then tied back to the event we were going to be at. And hey, if you come to the event, I will have a special like giveaway for you because you played along and participated in this journey, so to speak. So again, the whole idea was take something that I was going to do anyway, a promo video, and level it up a little bit. So that's just your tips for today, is just think about what activities you have that maybe you could just level up even just a little bit. And as always, I would love to hear what you come up with. So drop me a message and tell me how you leveled up one of your experiences. Until next time.